In this session, we will discuss about Codebuild service, and after that we will see the demo on this particular service. Hi everyone, this is Amol Shetty, Senior DevOps Engineer. This is the part 2 of the code pipeline series, and in the part 1 we discussed about the code commit service. If you want to check that video, I'll put the link in the description. So let's go ahead and discuss about the code build service. So here till the time we know the workflow that we might be getting the code pushed from this particular laptop, or we have a developer who is going to push to the code commit service. Now once we have the code available in the code commit service, further we would like to take that code and we would like to build that particular code. So from AWS we have this particular service which is the code build service. Now equivalent to this, we know that we have something, the Jenkins, one of the very popular tool that we have in the market. So why don't we have to stick with the Jenkins, and why we should look for a code build service? Let's discuss that first. Okay, so if you are aware about Jenkins tool, so how the Jenkins work, so you will be creating one server. So in case of Jenkins, you will require one server to be created, and on top of this Jenkins servers you will install the Jenkins software. Now in that case, okay, when you will be having this Jenkins to be installed, so on when like here you need to maintain the server, all the activities which are performing on the server. So you required here one of the server to be maintained all the time. You have to take the backup time to time, and overall you have to maintain the infrastructure as well. Also, not just a Jenkins server, along with the Jenkins server you might be creating a different slave machines. So sometimes you will be creating the master slave architecture, in which you would like to consider this as a master node which will be giving the instructions to the slave machines, and you can have a multiple slave machines. So for them also you need to maintain the infrastructure. So in this particular architecture you need to maintain all your infrastructure. So in total you have to handle the different server, and the servers are running all the time. So the costing for this this full entire or this infrastructure is going to be the much higher that let's say that right now, or if in case when your developer is not building anything on these machines, so but still you're running your server, and because of that you have to pay the cost for that. Okay, so that's one of the disadvantage, that if you are using the Jenkins. Now it is the one of the service that we get it from the AWS is the code build, and here it is completely opposite than the Jenkins. And what's the benefit here we get in the code builds? Okay, so you can build the things like as soon as you push something to the code commit or the GitHub. Okay, so it's not compulsory that you should be using always a code commit to keeping your code. Okay, either you can go for GitHub or you can go for the code commit also. So you can take the code from any of the repository, and from that you can just build the things with the code build service. And here the charges will get applied via the how much time you're using that particular service. So code build service, let's say it went, or it just went for 5 minutes. Okay, so you'll be paying for those 5 minutes, and during that, so this is like a serverless solution you have, right? So you will not be managing your servers directly. Okay, so AWS will create behind the scene the servers for you, and you will give the instructions that what all exactly build step you have to follow on this particular service, and that's how you will be using this code build service. So here you are not handling the infrastructure directly, and still you're able to get what is required for you. So why we use the code build service? So we take basically the code, whatever the developer is writing the code from this place, he is going to push the code to code commit or the GitHub. From there we can take that code here on the code build, and here we are going to build the application. Means what? We will be doing the compilation of the project. Once the compilation is done, we get the artifact, and again we have a choice where we would like to keep the artifact. So we would like to keeping the artifact to the S3 bucket. Okay, S3 bucket is one of the very popular very popular service we have for storing the thing, right? So we would like to keep the artifact to the S3 bucket. So this is exactly in a demonstration we are going to see ahead. So here we discussed about why code build service is better than the Jenkins. Okay, so you don't have to pay like for servers what you are using all the time, and here the charges is going to be applied on the basis for on like how many time how much of times you are using that service, right? So it is effective price is going to be the much lower than the Jenkins, because the Jenkins is something the server which will always be running. Also you always have an overhead about maintaining the server. So now here in this case you don't have to manage the server, and also you don't have to pay for like whatever the server is running. Here you will be paying for how much time this code build service works. Okay, so let's go ahead and understand this particular server by having a demonstration. So in the previous session we talked about the code commit service, which like in that particular code sorry, in the previous session we discussed about the code commit repository, and there we are going to keep our source code, and we will be taking that code source into this code build service, and further we will be building our application. Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss this one. So right now I don't have anything in the code commit first of all, so I should have something in the code repository. Okay, so this is the place I don't have anything repository. So either here you can use your existing GitHub repository, okay, for the code build service, or in this particular demonstration I would like to consider the code commit as the place to take the code from. Okay, so either if you wish to go with the GitHub, you can just go with the GitHub also. Here for this example I'm going to consider the code commit service to take the code from. Okay, so let's go ahead, and now at this moment you see that I don't have any of the repository created. Now how to create this repository and how to do all the setup with respect to the code commit is we have already discussed in the first session, so you may go and check that out, so before proceeding for this session 2. Okay, so here I'll be clicking on create repository, and I may give the name, let's say demo repo. So this is the name I'm going to give it for this particular repository, and you can provide some description like this is we are creating for demo purpose, and at last here I'm gonna say create. So we have created this repository which is a blank one. Okay, and right now you can see that I'm logged in with the root user, so that's the reason I cannot directly create or handle the further things with the root user. So that's something I should be having when I am user created. So that exactly this process I have explained in the previous video. So right now I have created this repository and I have already done that whole setup. So I'm going to simply clone this URL from this place, and then I will go to the GitHub. Okay, so on desktop I have created this one particular folder, and here I'm gonna say git clone, and here at this place I am simply cloning the code. Okay, so let me clone the URL again. So here I'll go and I will clone the sh URL, and I will paste that URL here. Now here it's an empty repository. Okay, I have cloned it here successfully. And how it is possible? Because the credential setup I have done in the previous session, and the same setup I'm using it here. Okay, so now right now I have here demo setup. I'll just go inside that and I can show you here I don't have anything. Okay, so basically I'll be taking the code from other repository, and for the which one, like from where I'm going to take it. So on the GitHub, okay, on the GitHub I have already created one Codepipeline repository. Now this particular repository I have you can get it to this user. Okay, that is Amol Shetty. So either you can search my name here, Amol Shetty, and that's how you can reach out to my account, or I will provide you the link in the description. So that's how you can get this Codepipeline repository. So I'll show you. Now this is the particular repository I have created as a public one, so anyone should be able to clone it directly. So let's go ahead. Now here I can just go to this code section, and I'm going to clone this particular URL also. So the basic idea here, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna copy the content of that particular. So here I'm having the code written in this particular repository. So I'm going to clone this particular repository on my desktop. from there we will copy paste the things inside to this repository. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. So already I'm inside this demo repo, so I'll go back one step back with the cd double dot, and here you can see a demo repo. Okay, so besides to this folder, I'm gonna say git clone, and let me copy that particular URL. So here I have copied the HTTPS one and just paste. Okay, and here I have cloned that particular code. If I do ls, you can see I have the code pipeline repo. Now within this repo I have created all the, here I have, in this particular repo I have the code written by the developer. Now this is the code. Okay, this is the code that I'm going to consider for the copy purpose. Okay, and how I can do that? So I may go to the desktop section. Okay, now on the desktop I have the new demo code commit. So this is the particular folder in which I have the two of the repository, right? So under the code pipeline, here this is the whole code I'm having, but just make sure don't copy this .git folder. Why? Because this particular demo repo will have its own .git folder. That's the reason don't replace that one, because this is the folder in which, this is the particular folder in which we will have all information with respect to the code commit repository. Okay, so let's go back, and here inside this code pipeline I'm gonna say Control A, I'll say copy. I just wanted to, okay, I'll say Control A and I will say Control. I'm just like deselecting this particular file, and I have said copy, and I will go back here in this particular demo repo. I will simply paste that particular content. Okay, so here you can see except the git, I have copied all the folders here, and I'm having all the code files available here in this particular repository. If I go back here on the git bash, here you can see under the demo repo, if I go and check, I have pasted all files successfully. Now it's time to see the git status. Okay, and I have copied all the files, and those are like new files, so it's showing me untracked file, right? So I have to say git add. Okay, I'll say git add and just say dot. So I'm adding all the files to staging area first, and then I'll say git commit -m, and here I'm going to say that the first commit probably. Okay, I'm just like doing some first commit and just press enter. So we have committed this all files, and it's time to push this code to the code commit repository. So just say git push origin master. Okay, so I'm going to push this code to the master repository. So push it, and now if I go to my code commit repository to check if I have got the code or not here. Okay, I've simply refreshed the code, and here you can see that I have simply got all my code files. Okay, so this is what I exactly wanted to have. Okay, and here I have also mentioned some of the instructions. Okay, like how you guys have to proceed. Okay, in fact that instruction you should be able to see it here also. Okay, so I have created one readme file in which you should be able to get all the things with respect to how you have to proceed. Okay, so this is a place where I have mentioned about the code commit, and right now we are proceeding towards the code build. Now once you have the code available here, okay, you can consider this whole code for your next service, that is the code build. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about that service now. I'll go to this code build, and I'll click on this build project. Next thing, here we have to create a project. So simply click on the create project. It asking me to provide the project name, so let's provide something. Let's say here demo build project. This is the name I'm giving it. Okay, next thing, here if I have to put any extra information such as description or anything like that, you may provide it, the tags and all. The next thing, the very important thing, it's asking me to provide a source code, like from where I'm going to have the source code. So laptop is going to like push the code to either the code commit, GitHub, or I might be having a Bitbucket, different repositories. So which one you have to consider in your case, it's up to you guys. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to consider the code commit as my source code management tool. So let's go ahead and choose that one. So here I'll just click on the code commit option, and it's asking me to provide a repository. I might be having so many repository. Right now I just have one, so I'm considering that one, that is the demo repo. Next thing, from which branch I have to consider the code. So it is the master, the only branch I'm having. So I'm considering that one. And yes, I'm done with providing my source code detail. Okay, so from code commit, it is going to take the code for build purpose. Okay, the next thing, it is going to create some environment. Okay, so the code build is going to create some environment. Now that environment I would like to have as an on demand. Okay, so as I'm pushing the code, so as on demand, one behind the scene one server will get created, and as per that, on this particular server, the behind scene server, okay, so that specification here I have to mention. So this is on demand I'm selecting, which is by default option. Then the environment image also, it's going to be the manage image, and which platform I would like to have, it's going to be the EC2 one. Okay, now operating system it's asking, so it's up to you which one you have to choose. If I clicked here, I have the two options, so I'm considering the Ubuntu one. And just make sure that whichever the operating system here you're choosing, as per that you have to put the commands ahead. Okay, so I'm saying the Ubuntu. So next time, like, I have to create something, the build spec file, in that just make sure that you're using all the Ubuntu commands. Okay, let's go ahead. Here all the things are by default selected, so I'm just choosing everything as standard. Then image is 7.0. The image version is saying that I just use the latest version. Okay, the service role, now this is something the very important, guys. Okay, so it's gonna create one service role for us, and this is the role name it is going to have. So service role will get created automatically for us, and within that service role the necessary permissions will get assigned automatically. Okay, now this is the particular service role we will have, and we have to add the permission later. One more permission we have to add later. Okay, so just keep that thing in mind, that here we have a role name that will get created automatically. So let it get created. Okay, so ahead you have one more option, like additional configuration. So timeout is 1 hour. Basically, like whenever your build starts, so the timeout, the maximum time you are allocating is 1 hour. So if it is exceeding that, okay, so there could be some problem where your system is just in a hang mode. So that will it will run for maximum 1 hour, and after that it will automatically give the error that timeout issue. Okay, so you can have the 8 queues, like 8 hours for you have the things in a queue. Like that you have multiple option. By any chance that if you are building the Docker image within that code build service with the help of code build, then you need to tick mark this option, because you will require some elevated privilege access in that case. All right, the next thing here, it's asking me the what kind of compute machine I'll have. Okay, so 3 GB and 2 virtual core CPU. I think this is enough for our project, so let's go ahead with that. Any of the environment variable you have, you can mention those here. So for code build purpose, okay, any of the variable if you require, like such as you might be providing some credentials, so you have a secret manager option also here, or one of the service from AWS is a create, like the AWS the parameter, okay, parameter store you have, so there also you can mention the variable. So you have multiple options. So if it's something like a very simple option, just a key value in which also you can mention. So you can mention those. If you have any credential, so either you can create a create parameter or a plain text. So there also you have secret manager. So it's up to you which one you have to mention. So those you can mention it in the build spec file later. Okay, let's go ahead. Now here you have a build spec file. Now this is the very important file. Okay, because this file decide how exactly you would like to build your application. Now this is the place where you will be mentioning all the configuration. Now what happens, like here along with your source code, okay, along with your source code here with the code commit, you are going to mention one build spec file. Okay, you will be generating. Now this build spec file is written in the YAML format. So this build spec file you will be creating along with your this particular repository at root folder, and that file will get identified automatically if the name of the file is this one and you are keeping that file at the root level. Okay, so this is the option you have. So either you can mention or your build commands like this way. Okay, but the best practice suggests that you should be using the build spec file. So I'm going to use the build spec file. Now if my file name is a build spec.yaml, then just go ahead and like just you can just go ahead. But if your build spec file is at not the root level, okay, so let me show you that do I have the build spec file at my root level. So I can show you here on the GitHub, right? So if I show you, you can see I'm in this demo repo, which is my code commit, and along with this this particular file, I have already created one build spec file. Now what that file is, what configuration we have to mention, I'll speak in a few minutes, but here at this moment you can see that I have this particular file created. So either if you have created something else, you can mention that file name. Okay, great. So this is the file we have, and so I don't have to mention any file name because it is at the root level, and my file name is also, it's a buildspec.yaml, so I can mention I already have created a file name, so I don't, there is no need to mention that file, even though if you mention, okay, there is no problem at all. Okay, fine. Now what that file is talking about. Okay, so let's discuss that. So when we are talking about this code build, okay, so there the very first thing, you will be creating the build project as we have created, as we are in the phase of that creation process. Then here we have to choose the source code. Okay, you can choose the GitHub or code commit, it's up to you. Next thing, create the build spec file for code build, and this build spec file is having a different phases inside in it. Okay, the very first phase you can have is like install phase, in which you're supposed to mention all your dependencies, what you require for your project. Okay, let's say you have something, the Java project. Okay, now if you have a Java project, then obviously you will be choosing any of the build tool which support for a Java. So if I give you example, let's say in such case you might be interested to choose for Java, you might require the Maven as a tool. Okay, if you have a Python, in that case you might require a pip tool to be used. Or other hand, let's say you have any JavaScript based project such as React.js or anything like that, in that case you might want to choose the npm as the build tool. So whichever tool you are using, so you should have that tool already pre-installed within that environment, and that's the reason. So something like that. Okay, like some of the tools you might require something like those tools, you will be putting already inside your that particular environment, and this is the place. Install phase is a phase in which you can mention all such tool. Now you have the build phase in which you will be providing the build command. Okay, so in the case of Maven, okay, you might be considering the mvn install or something like that. Okay, in the npm you might would like to consider the npm run build. So this is the tool which will compile your project. In case of pip, okay, you might want to say the pip install -r requirement, so something like that. Okay, depending on which tool you are using, what you would like to, what is your build command is. Okay, so that's something you are going to mention in your build phase. The next thing, you have a post build phase. Okay, where you might would like to consider to send your artifact to S3 bucket. Okay, so accordingly you will be providing the post build action. Okay, now you see here we also wish to pass our artifact to the S3 bucket. Okay, and that's what here we have done. Okay, so here is the example that we have in our case. Okay, this is what example we have. So what we are doing here, I'm gonna say a sudo apt-get update. Okay, like first of all I'll update my Ubuntu environment repository, and then here we are installing the Maven, and at last to just confirm whether I have installed the things properly, the invent tool. So I'm just checking the version here. So that phase, I'm like, this is what install phase I'm having. The next phase here I'm going to use is going to be the mvn clean install dskip test. So I'm just keeping the test to save the build time, and we are just saying mvn clean means it will clean my existing any of the target folder or any of the jar file I already have, and it will create a new build for us and install. With the help of install, it is going to download the dependency and compile the source code for us. Okay, so this is what the Maven goal we have. The next thing here, you see that post build action, I'm going to transfer this S3 bucket. Okay, like S3 bucket things to the particular repository. Okay, now here in this case I have put one example as S3 bucket. Okay, but in your case you have to consider some S3 bucket name. Now this is going to be different in your case. Okay, so you have to create one S3 bucket and you have to put that name. Also, like after a build, okay, after building phase, we will get, after this particular phase, we will get one jar file under the target folder. Now where we would like to keep that, or what name we would like to give, it's again up to you. I'm going to give the app.jar. This is the name I'm going to have this in this particular bucket. Okay, so for this project also we will require one S3 bucket. So let's go ahead and create the one for ourselves. Okay, so I'll go to the, here I'll search for the S3 bucket service first, and here this S3 bucket, we will create the bucket very quickly. Now the bucket name, is again up to you. So let's say this is the code build we are doing. So I'll say code build demo s3 bucket, and to just make it unique, okay, I'm just like giving some number 1 2 3 4 5. Let's see if we have this bucket name available, and at last I will go and say create bucket. Okay, so this is the particular bucket got created just now, and I'm going to replace that bucket name. Okay, so this is my new bucket in which I have to keep my s3 objects. Okay, so here on this particular repository, okay, on this particular demo repo repository, I have already created a build spec file. I have to modify that one. Okay, so let me open that one. It's a build spec file I'm having, and under that you can see I have provided, like I have committed few of the stuff. Okay, now this is for understanding purpose. Let's suppose I shown you while creating the code build. Okay, especially if I go back and show you that one again to you guys. So you have some of the environments variable here. Okay, if you are mentioning your environment variable, okay, so in that case you have to mention those variables here. Okay, so if you have mentioned the variable, now depending on, so if you just have a normal variable, the parameter store, secret manager, okay, so accordingly whichever the variable you have mentioned, so just mention all the variables here. Then here the next thing we have, that is the phase. Okay, so in install phase, here I'm going to install the Maven. Okay, and then next phase I'm having is the build phase, in which I'm saying mven clean install -dskip test. Okay, the lastly here, once I'm having the artifact, okay, I'll get some artifact, and which file I would like to consider for artifact. So that is also here I have to mention plus I have to like enable this post build action, in which, okay, as per our this code pipeline example, we are going to transfer your artifacts to the S3 bucket. So let me do that one here. And how I can do that? So I can just go to this post build. Okay, I am just enabling this, and under that I have to say the commands. Okay, I'm just like enabling the command. The very first command I might want to say echo, or in fact I can copy paste this thing, and whichever the things we have to modify, we'll change that one. Okay, so here I'm gonna simply paste that one. So make sure that you have the indentation. So this echo command and this one, okay, has to be in align, because this is YAML format, and in YAML you have to take care about the indentation part. So I'm saying echo transfer the artifact, and which is the S3 bucket we have. So we just now we have created the S3 bucket. So let me delete this one, or let me remove this bucket name, and I will have the, so this is my new name of bucket, or here I should get that one. So here I'm gonna say code build. Okay, I have so many like created things. Okay, let me just copy it from here. So this is my bucket name which I have just created right now. Okay, so here I have mentioned this bucket name. Okay, now I should get that bucket name directly, so I can go and search that bucket name. Okay, so here you see that this is the bucket name we have, and in this particular bucket I should get the artifact once my building process is done. Okay, so like this in under this bucket I should get that one. Right now you see I don't have anything. Okay, so let's go ahead here again, and now the next thing here, I was talking about the build spec file, right? So yeah, we are not yet done. Yeah, we here this is the place here we have modified. Okay, and also at last, whatever the artifacts you would like to consider. Okay, so here in this case I'm considering this artifact. So via the code build you can also consider artifact, and with that, okay, you can also transfer your artifact. So here I'm manually transferring the artifact. The other way that you can consider the files which you would like to consider to transfer your artifact, and that is also one way with which you can do. Now as per my code pipeline example, okay, here I'm just like going to consider all the files. Okay, I'm going to consider all the files under the artifact. Okay, and then we have to do it for some purpose. Okay, so that purpose will get understood in the third service, that is the code deploy. So there we required few of the files. Okay, so let's just consider a full artifact here. So under the artifact section I'm going to consider all files. Okay, ***/ and under the codes, I'm going to mention that. Okay, so I'm going to consider all my files. Okay, so now this is what I'm considering for this artifact. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this file. Okay, so I'm modifying this file on the local. Okay guys, so here try to understand. Right now this is my repository code. Okay, you can just imagine this like a developer system, and this is the place where I'm having the build spec file.yaml file, which I have modified just now. Okay, if I check the git status now, you can see I've got a response that this particular build spec file is modified. Okay, so I'm going to consider, like, just say add that file to staging, git add build spec.yaml, and here I'm going to say git commit -m the build spec.yaml file. Okay, so we're done with the committing the code, and now it's time to push the code. So just say git push origin master. Okay, so here I'm saying that git push origin master, and just push your code to the code commit repository. Okay, so if I go to the code commit, okay, here, no, I haven't opened that one, but I may do that one here. Okay, I can go to the code commit repository just to check whether my push is successful or not. Okay, so this is the place. Here you see last modified just now, it was coming, right? So this is the place I'm having the build spec.yaml file, and here you may see that we have put this particular, we have changed this part and this part. Okay, great. So we have successfully transferred we have successfully transferred that particular file here. Now next thing is that we have to go again back to build project. Okay, and here we are done with the build spec file, which is a very important step. Okay, we have here the next thing here, it is asking about the artifacts. Okay, like the artifact I was talking about. Okay, so even the your code build file also consider artifact, and it is going to push it. Okay, so if you want to say no artifact, you can say, or if I say Amazon S3, so it is going to push the artifact, and for that purpose I would like to consider another bucket to store the whole thing. Okay, so in the first case where I was just pushing the artifact, okay, so here I'm showing you the two options. One is the build spec, with the build spec file with the AWS S3 cp command, you can just transfer your artifact. The second way is here that you have put that // okay, so that is also pushing your artifact to the whole thing. Okay, or let it be the same one. Okay, so here maybe demo code build. Okay, so this is the bucket I'm considering. Okay, so existing, so here in the same bucket I'm going to have both the things. Okay, let's go ahead, and here in this bucket it is going to store your output artifact. So this name is optional. If you're not providing the name, so project name it is going to consider. Okay, so let it be a project name, and just go ahead. Now next thing here, I have the logs. Okay, now this is also important, so you would like to consider to keep your logs inside this particular so whatever your build you're doing. Okay, so for that, as per your build spec file, the logs will get generated. Now if you want to troubleshoot the things, so better we should be maintaining the logs over a long period of time, and then for that I can create some group name. So let's say here I'm saying code build demo project. Okay, so this is what name I'm giving. Now with this particular log name, I will have the log group creator, and under that I should get all the logs. Okay, so let's go ahead. If you'd like to create this logs, or you'd like to upload these logs to S3 bucket, you can do that one also. You can create one S3 bucket for the logs purpose, and you can just mention that one. Okay, here you can mention that bucket name, and the same logs will get uploaded to that S3 bucket. Okay, great. So here I'm done with the all procedure. Now I'll simply click on the create build project, and we are okay, so it's taking some time. So we are done with the code build project creation. Okay, now it's time to do the build. Okay, so you can click on the start build, and here you see it is in progress right now. So let's wait for some time, and in fact you can see the phase details here. Okay, like how the things are processing. So code is submitted, then it is under the queue. No, okay, it has succeeded, provisioning is done. Now downloading the source code, it is also done. Okay, download source code means what? That here in this process the code commit, in the code commit service we have the code. So from that place the code has been taken, and now next phase we have is like install. Okay, so install phase is going on, and under that, so logs also will get generated. Okay, here you see that logs is getting generated. So the very first thing here, we are installing the Maven, right? So that process is going on currently. You see here, in fact I can show you the which all commands here we have. So at this moment, okay, so all this, so line by line the things will happen, and we have to wait for some time. Okay, so first of all Maven installation will happen, and then here we have the ambient clean install. Okay, so this particular process will also take some time. So let's wait for some time, guys. Okay, it will take somewhere around 5 minutes, so let's wait for that much, and after that I will continue the session ahead. Now you guys can see here that we got a build success message. Okay, but here we got the next stage. Okay, that is the upload failed we got. Okay, so as per our flow, if you understood that we have mentioned one build command, that is a ambient clean install -d skip test. Okay, so this is something the command we mentioned, and after that we are mentioning we are doing what, we are copying the artifact to the one of the S3 bucket. Okay, so here in this case we haven't provided the permission to that S3 bucket. Like so here the process goes like, you have the code build service. Okay, you have here the code build service, and that code build service wants to upload the artifact to the S3 bucket. Okay, now for that purpose, this particular service, that is code build service, should have the permission for that. Okay, now that permission here we have just missed to provide, and that's the reason here we got access denied. Okay, now let's fix that one very quickly. So I'll just click on this build project again, and here you see that we have, for this particular demo build project, we have the service role. I will just open this particular role in the new tab, and very quickly I'm going to provide the permission here, that is the here I need to attach a policy. Okay, now here I'm looking particularly for the S3 bucket, so I may create the bucket policy for one bucket. Okay, the where we are actually transferring the artifact, or for this particular session I'm gonna say Amazon S3 full access. Okay, so I'm just giving the all the S3 buckets access, and here I have uploaded here I have provided a S3 full access to my this particular code build project. I will go back, okay, on this project again, and here you see for the first build, okay, we have got the failed as remark. Okay, and then the only problem that we have got it here is the build upload artifact. Okay, so let's trigger the pipeline again. So I'm clicking on the start build, and you see it's a build number 2 is going on again. So let's wait 5 more minutes, and after that we should get the artifact to the S3 bucket again. So let's wait. Now this time you guys can see we have got the build success, and after that we successfully able to push the artifact, or we able to upload the artifact to the S3 bucket. Okay, so let's confirm that do we really have got the artifact with the app.jar file name. So here you see that app.jar file name we have. So if I go, and this is what the bucket we have, correct? So I'll just refresh this particular bucket now, and here you see that we have got the app.jar artifacts here. So now this is what we actually wish to have. Okay, now this is the particular artifact that we wanted to get it away from the S3 bucket, like within the S3 bucket. And now further I can take this artifact for my in the next service, that is the code deploy service. So or I can use this artifact at various places. I can transfer this from the S3 bucket to the various process. Okay, so that's it about this particular session. Okay, I hope you found this video valuable. So please show your support by subscribing to this channel, and let's have the conversation going in the comment section. So see you in the next session, guys.